Hello student, welcome in our ninth lecture. Student, in the previous lecture we have seen the points limit test for heavy metals, then limit test for chloride and limit test for iron. This part we have seen in the previous lecture. Now in the today's lecture we are going to discuss the limit test for lead, potassium and sulfate. So the learning objectives are limit test for the lead, limit test for potassium and limit test for the sulfates. So these are the references I have used for this lecture. So we start with the first, that is limit test for the lead. Lead is the most undesirable impurities in the medical compounds and comes through the use of sulfuric acid, lead lined apparatus and glass bottles used for the storage of the chemicals. Means this lead, it is a undesirable impurity which is present in the pharmaceutical substances, and it is come from by the use of sulfuric acid or the apparatus which we use for the storage of the chemical. They also produces the lead, which is a impurity which is present in the pharmaceutical substances or the medical compounds. Okay, so the next is the principle. Limit test of the lead is based on the reaction of lead and dithiazone in a alkaline solution to form a lead dithiazone complex, which is red in color. So what exactly happened? Whatever lead impurity is present in the medical compounds, it react with the dithiazone in alkaline solution. It form a complex, and that complex is having red color. Okay. This dithiazone in chloroform is able to extract a lead from an alkaline aqueous solution as a lead dithiazone complex, which is red in color. Okay. The original dithiazone is having green color in chloroform, while the lead dithiazone is having violet color. So resulting color is the end of the process is red. Okay. The intensity of the color complex is depend upon the amount of lead in the solution. Means more the lead, more intense color of that complex is there. The color of the lead dithiazone complex in a chloroform has been compared with a standard volume of the lead solution treated in the same manner. In this method, the lead present as an impurities in the substance gets separated by extracting an alkaline solution with a dithiazone extraction solution. The interference and influence of the other metal ion has been eliminated by adjusting the optimum pH for the extraction by employing the ammonium citrate and the potassium cyanide. So what exact method is there? A sample solution is transferred to the separating funnel. Then add 6 ml of ammonium citrate, 2 ml of potassium cyanide and 2 ml of hydroxylamine hydrochloride are added. Then we add 2 drops of phenol in red indicator. Solution is made alkaline by adding ammonia solution. This is then extracted with the 5 ml portion of dithiazone solution until it becomes green. The combined dithiazone extract are shaken for 30 seconds with the 30 ml of nitric acid and chloroform layer is discarded. To the acid solution, 5 ml standard dithiazone solution is added and 4 ml ammonium cyanide and solution is shaken for 30 seconds. Similarly, prepare the standard solution. And comparing the test solution and the standard solution, we observe that the intensity of the color of the complex is depend on the amount of lead in the solution. Means higher the percentage of lead, more intense is the color, right? The color produced in the sample solution should not be greater than the standard solution. If the color produced in the sample solution is less than the standard solution, the sample will pass the limit test of the lead. and vice versa. Okay, if the more intense color, then test get fail. Less intense color than the standard solution, then limit test of the lead get pass. Okay. Reason it is very important for the MCQ question. Ammonium citrate, potassium cyanide and hydroxylamine hydrochloride is used to make the pH optimum. Means optimum means it maintain the pH ammonia, so it is a basic pH. So interference and influence of the other impurities have been eliminated. Phenol red is used as an indicator to develop the color at the end process. Lead present as an impurity in the substance gets separated by extracting an alkaline solution with a dithiazide extraction solution. Okay, so these are the observation and reason for the limit test for lead. Then here another way, we take two Nessler cylinder. In the first Nessler cylinder we prepare the test solution, and in the second Nessler cylinder we prepare the standard solution. So what we have to do, we take first 6 ml ammonium citrate solution in both cylinder, then add 2 ml of potassium cyanide and 2 ml of hydroxylamine hydrochloride in the both cylinder. Okay, then we add 2 drops of phenol red. This process will be done in both cylinder. Okay, then make a solution alkaline by adding ammonia solution. Extract the 5 ml dithiazone until it become green. Because the dithiazone initial level, the color of the dithiazone is green, right? Then combine this dithiazone extract and shaken for the 30 minutes with the 30 ml of nitric acid. Chloroform layer is discarded. Okay, then to the acid solution add 5 ml standard dithiazone solution. Add 4 ml ammonium cyanide. Again shake for 30 minutes and observe the color. If red color is observed, and if that red color is more intense, then limit test get fail. More intense than the standard solution, means this is the standard solution. So if it is more intense than the standard solution, the limit test get failed, and it is less intense than the standard solution, then the limit test pass. Okay, why we add ammonia or aqueous ammonia is added in the limit test of lead? Because here the lead, when react with the sulfur, it form a lead sulfate. In the limit test of the lead, this PBS, it is produced by addition of the standard H2S to the solution containing lead. pH 3 to 4 is necessary for the precipitation of this PBS. Okay, so pH it is maintained 3 to 4, and it is necessary for the precipitation of this PBS. So the aqueous ammonia or the acetic acid is added to maintain the pH. Okay, sorry. Next limit test for the potassium. The test it is based on the opalescence, means the turbidity formed when the potassium precipitate with the anionic reagent tetraphenyl borate. Tetraphenyl borate. So this is the tetra means 4 phenyl ring and B means the borate. This is the tetraphenyl borate. Anionic means sodium ion. Okay. This reagent has found widespread use to determine the potassium by gravimetry, titrimetric or the turbidometric analysis. By these three analyses we can find out the potassium. Okay. So here we perform the turbidometric analysis. We take 10 ml of the prescribed solution, add 2 ml of the freshly prepared 1% weight by volume solution of the sodium tetraphenyl borate. Prepare the standard solution in the same manner using the mixture of the potassium standard solution and 5 ml of water. After 5 minutes, any turbidity in the test solution is not more intense than the standard solution. Again here the turbidity is formed, and that turbidity, it is not more intense than the standard solution. Then and then the limit test of the potassium get pass. If it is again more intense, then limit test of the potassium get fail. Okay, this is the tetraphenyl borate, sodium ion tetraphenyl borate. Here the potassium tetraphenyl borate. Okay, these complexes are formed and they shows the color turbidity in the solution. And if it is more intense, then test get fail. If it is less intense, then the test get pass. Okay, so in this way the limit test of the potassium is performed. Okay, then the next limit test for the sulfate. The sulfate limit test is designed to determine the allowable limit of the sulfate contained in the sample. Principle: the limit test of the sulfate, it is similar to the limit test of chloride. Means not chemically similar, but the procedure of that sulfate and chloride, it is the same one. The limit test of the sulfate is based on the reaction of soluble sulfate. In that we use soluble chloride. Okay, with the barium chloride, silver chloride is used in the chloride. In the presence of dilute hydrochloric acid to form a barium sulfate which appear as a solid particles, that is turbidity in the solution. So here this is a soluble sulfate, then this one is the barium chloride. In presence of the HCl, they form a barium sulfate. It is a solid and it shows the turbidity in the solution. Okay, so this is a reaction is happened. Then the comparison of this turbidity is done with the standard turbidity obtained from the known amount of the sulfate, and same volume of dilute hydrochloric acid have been added to the both solution. The barium chloride test solution in IP has been replaced by the barium sulfate reagent, which having a barium chloride sulfate free alcohol and solution of the potassium sulfate. Potassium sulfate has been added to increase the sensitivity of the test. This red color part, it mostly asks for the MCQ question. Okay, then what exact procedure is done? Again we take the two Nessler cylinder. One it is labeled for the test test sample, and the another cylinder it is labeled as a standard compound. Okay, specified weight of compound is dissolved in a water, is prepared as directed in the pharmacopoeia and transfer in Nessler cylinder. Okay, take 1 ml 0.1089% weight by volume solution of the potassium sulfate in the Nessler cylinder, 2 ml of dilute hydrochloric acid, then dilute up to 45 ml by using water. Add 5 ml barium sulfate. Keep aside for a 5 minutes, then observe the turbidity. So the next is the observation. Barium sulfate reagent contain barium chloride or sulfate free alcohol and small amount of a potassium sulfate. So what observation is exactly done in the limit test of sulfate? The turbidity produced in the sample solution should not be greater than the standard solution. If the turbidity produced of the sample solution is less than the standard solution, then sample will pass the limit test of sulfate, and vice versa. Okay. Reason: hydrochloric acid helps to make a solution acidic. Means what is the use of hydrochloric acid in the limit test of sulfur? To make the solution acidic. Potassium sulfate is used to increase the sensitivity of the test by giving the ionic concentration in the reagent. Alcohol help to prevent the supersaturation and so produces a more uniform turbidity. Okay, so in this way we complete the limit test for 3 compound: sulfate, then potassium, and the first one is lead. So this 3 limit tests we have completed. In the next lecture, we will discuss the remaining limit test from this chapter. Okay? Thank you.